Hey guys, Burzer3 here, and today I'm going to talk about what Factorio is because I've had a hard time explaining it to people while streaming or explaining to family and friends. It's a much easier game to show than to explain, so that's what I'm going to do today, hopefully. Just so you know, for reference sake, today's video is being made on September 7th, 2018, so things may look different in the future, and the game version I am currently playing on is 0.16 Experimental, also known as 0.16x. So, Factorio. Factorio is a game of automation, and a Google definition, quick. Automation. Automation is the use of largely automatic equipment in a system of manufacturing or other production processes. So basically, you're taking things with machines and making more things out of them, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So, Factorio is made of these basic elements, as I will show here. I am in a modded version right now, so you will not usually run this fast. Factorio is these 8 basic resources. We have iron, we have copper, we have coal, we have stone, uranium, we have our fluids, oil, and water, and then we have trees, which will produce wood, obviously. So what would you do with these? First off, you could take a burner mining drill. This would need some sort of fuel, like coal, which has a fuel value. You will throw it in there. It'll spit out iron ore. Currently, it'll spit it out all over the floor, so you'd want to put it on a belt or in a box. Then you can later upgrade into electric mining drills, which would need electricity. We also have these 3 variants of smelting. You would use a stone furnace, then a steel furnace, then an electric furnace, which would need power. This is a steam engine, which is one of the basic ways to produce energy in the game. You would have to put, it doesn't let me click on it. You would put in fluid. You could put in oil or something like that, but water is the most efficient. And you would boil it in a boiler, which is... I'm not sure where they are. Ah, there we are. This is a boiler. So you would put water in there, boil it with an energy source, and then it would produce steam, spin the turbines, create electricity. These are your variants of power poles. And the first basic thing you would do then is science. Science is how you progress forward. There's an entire science tree here of things. You start with basically nothing, and you can research lights, walls, more logistics, more electronics, steel, rails, all the way up to flamethrowers, explosives, little robots that fly around, power armors, nuclear reactors, portable fusion reactors. Lots and lots of fun stuff. So, how would you do that? It would be by manipulating these 8 ingredients into much more complicated ingredients and creating what is officially known as Science Pack 1, going from easiest to hardest produce would be Science Pack 1, Science Pack 2, Science Pack 3, Military Science Pack, Production Science Pack, High-Tech Science Pack, and Space Science Pack. Now, other streamers may call them other things, but I end up calling this the red potion, green potion, blue potion, black potion, purple potion. But I don't even know what I call these because I never really make them that often. High-tech science and space science. So, nobody really uses the official names. You create those, like I said, by manipulating objects into more and more complicated ingredients, such as taking the iron, making it into iron plates and smelters. Then you would take the copper, make it into copper plates and smelters. Then you take the copper plates, turn them into copper wires, make power poles, so on, so on, so on, until you get late game. I will show you a screenshot. Here we are. This is a screenshot on the Factorio website of a rocket being launched. You can see there are belts, there are pipes, this is steel, these are furnaces, these are chests, these are other furnaces, copper ore, coal ore, walls. It's a very cool photo. There's a lot going on in it to create this rocket. And you can see right there's a little rocket guy, a little robot flying through the air. So it does get way complicated. When you just look at these basic ingredients, you go, that's not really too much. So that is what endgame would look like. Next over here we have our fluids, which you would pump out of the ground with a pump jack or water with a water well pump. Put them into an oil refinery and they will produce light oil, heavy oil, and petroleum, which you then further manipulate with a chemical plant to create more and more stuff. As you can gather, there is a lot of stuff you can make, and it just keeps getting more and more and more and more. So the basics of the game, I don't I don't know what they officially made it, but it started out as you have crash landed on this planet. You need to escape. You need to build a rocket, and that's where the game started in my understanding. That's how it originally started. So to me, the game is much like it always reminds me of StarCraft in the way that you're on an alien planet, and I will go show you some of the aliens in a moment. They have their little bases that just produce enemy biters and spitters. Biters walk up to your equipment, bite it and break it until it's destroyed, and the spitters spit stuff out of their mouth grossly. So let's go take a peek at that so we can kind of understand what it is. This is what trees look like. I've cut everything down there in the middle to make it easier for you to see. These are some cliffs. They will randomly appear. You can blow them up with cliff explosives, but that doesn't happen until a little later in the game. And so on and so forth. So, here you go. I don't want to get too close because they will hurt me. But this is a biter spawner, a spitter spawner, and here you can see little biters crawling around, just waiting until the pollution reaches enough to piss them off, and then they will come run and eat your base, or you, or whatever. And this is a pretty small base, and the biters do have further and further evolutions. If we do the tilde command and we do a /evolution, we can see our evolution factor is 0.02. It's 100% based on time, 0% pollution, 0% from spawner kills. Fun little fact for some people who didn't know. You can look up a lot if you would do the tilde/help. There's a whole list of things you can do. Change your colors. You can do a lot of stuff. I don't even use half that stuff. All right, so back to our little base. So I think I've explained pretty well most of the basics of what you can do with these raw materials, and I don't want to go too much into detail because a lot of the game's fun to me is figuring out how to take these ingredients and how you want to make bigger and better items from this. I could tell you how I do things, but that would kill the interest and the fun for a lot of people out there, in my opinion. So let's quit out of this game. We'll save it. Let's just open up a new game and show you the interface for that. This is the interface for making a new map. Some of this stuff, if you're a new player, might not really mean a whole lot to you. Excuse me. You have the default normal settings, rich resources, which will make patches larger in richness, so you don't really have to expand as far. Good for beginners. Marathon makes things more expensive, so all your science packs now have increased costs. Death World really turns the biters up, makes them a hardcore and dangerous, and it really actually is a lot harder. I've played a few games that way, and it's fun, but it is not easy. Then Death World Marathon mixes the two together, and then Real World. Real World is probably the most fun or second intermediate step from beginners. Resource patches are larger, but they're spread further apart. Factorio's spawning system isn't really the greatest, but they're about to make that a lot better, so it might be something to look forward in the future. But it will also have the biter bases not create new bases. So once you wipe out a base somewhere, it's done. They won't make any more, which allows you to then sort of expand and take over territory so you can have very vastly spread apart areas making multiple things connected by a network of trains coming back and forth and transporting goods, resources, all that kind of stuff. The resource settings here you could mess with if you would rather fine-tune down to something you would like. These do change here based on your settings. So if I click default, everything's on normal, medium, regular. Go to the Real World, not the same, different. But we'll just put on default right now. Terrain settings, same kind of thing. You could go through here and mess with all this to your own liking. And the advanced settings get very, very complicated. If you're a new player, I would stick away from this. The only thing you might like if you want a little more challenge is you can up the technology multiplier by any number, and you can turn them to the expensive costs. I'm not sure what the expensive costs are 100%, but it just makes some things cost more ingredients, so to speak. Then very fun here is the generate preview button, which is very new and very fun. It allows you to generate the map from very far away, scroll around and look. So you could say, oh, this looks like a great map, or I don't like that there's not a lot of water there near my coal, or, you know, this is too much trees for me. So poof, you hit the regenerate button, look at that. This is all more desert now. You can see a lot more cliffs. You can see a big oil patch here, water there. So we like this one. This is where we would go play. Those are all settings for what I was creating the the game I just showed you. So those won't appear in the real game. So this is the movement speed you will move at naturally. This is your iron ore, and you start out with 8 iron plates, a burner mining drill, a stone furnace, and that's it. Oh, and let me move my camera here so you can actually see. Say that again. So down here on the bottom is your quick bar, your tool ball, your tool belt, as the game calls it. You have a burner mining drill, stone furnace in there in the bottom right. You have a pistol and a firearm magazine, and you have no tool or no armor. And this is your crafting menu, so where you can view the logistics, the production, the intermediates, and the combat. Highlight something, how do you make it? Tells you right there. Science Pack 2 is a transport belt and an inserter. You want to make electronic circuits. It's 3 copper cables and a plate. So the first thing I would recommend doing, and again, I don't want to tell you what to do too much because it can ruin the game for you, but an iron axe, I will show you how quickly you mine something like this. Let's take this tree. Try to chop that down barehanded. Probably 4 seconds, 5 seconds maybe, if not more. So let's craft up a pickaxe and look at the difference there. Much faster. Well, like 3 to 4 times faster probably. So, and now we have this wood. We could turn the wood into we could turn the raw wood into the wood, which we can then make power poles out of, and so on and so forth. So I will leave it at that. This is the science that you start out with naturally. It has this tree, which is pretty nice. You can click on like advanced electronics. This is all the prerequisites to get to advanced electronics. This is what you unlock for researching advanced electronics. Optics. You can research that immediately. It'll take 15-second cycles, 10 times of 1 science pack. That's kind of how that works. So something like this will take 15-second cycles of 1 green science pack and 1 red science pack. Something like this is 30-second cycles, a little bit harder, 150 times of 1 of each. So that's how to read this part. Like I said, you want to know what the new military will get you. Piercing rounds, grenades. There's lots of research. Goes down to infinite for some things, like damages and speeds. Atomic bomb, and the rocket silo. The rocket silo needs a lot of stuff before you can make it. So that's basics of the game. I will show you now the content page on the Factorio website, which I will link down below if you are curious. They have a lot of good stuff on that page. Here they talk about their current content, mining, logistics, production systems. I'll link this below so you can see it along with just the default website. Energy, so you got research, oil refining, trains, logistics, blueprints, circuit networks, pollution. You have fighting, so the biters kind of thing like we said. There's single player, free play. I believe there is a campaign they're trying to put into the game. A lot of people just play free play like we just shown. There are scenarios. There's a lot of modding support, actually. There's some games where there's mods that add 10 to 15 more patches of ore. So there's sulfur, titanium, bauxite, aluminum. There's a whole bunch more stuff to mess with. So if you've played a lot and you're like, wow, I'm looking for a little bit more of a harder challenge, those game modes can be a lot of fun. It's also multiplayer, which is a lot of fun. You want to play with one of your friends in a world. It's really cool. And this shows the work in progress of what they're going to try to do. That is polishing is all that's here right now. And possible future content. They say here, space platforms. Build and launch space platforms that can travel to asteroids or other planets. That's kind of cool. Alien interaction. Says if you are nice to them, they are nice to you. Keep your pollution low, and you can learn about the planet inhabitants. Trade with them. That's not cool. You could trade with them and get stuff. You could catch them, study them. So I guess you could kind of trick them. Real-time strategy elements. So it'd be cool if you could get into a command center. So I guess that'd be have all your robots. You just get into a building and you just don't have to actually run around since you are just one person. Moving underground. So you've tamed the surface planet, but how about going below the ground? That could be cool. And the food industry. That sounds kind of cool too. So might be colonists coming in. You got to make food for them to all to eat. So that's my quick video. If you enjoyed the video, you can throw a like down below. I will link my Twitch channel where I do stream Factorio moderately often between other games as well. And I will link this page so you can see all the content if you want to read further up. And I will link the Factorio homepage so you can see more of that. Like I said, down below with all the links. Thank you again for stopping by. And I hope this video helps you and or whoever you want to explain the game to. See you next time.